Okay? This function, f of x, has an inverse. Call it f inverse of x. Okay? To find the inverse, it's very simple. Although the algebra is not always simple, what you start with is very simple. Okay? Okay, well, we have how did we learn to do an inverse function, graph of an inverse function? We switched the x and y columns in your tables, right? Okay? And that gave us the log function and the square root function from the basic functions. The inverse function should be no surprise. Very simple. You just switch x and y and solve for y. Okay? Okay, so we switch x and y. And we get x equals 3y plus 5. Is that hard? If you find your x's and make them y's, you find your y's and make them x's, right? That's not hard. Now, solving for y in this case is going to be easy. Solving for y is not always that easy. Okay? That's where it gets tricky. But your first step is really trivial. If you've got a formula for y in terms of x, you can write the equation for the inverse. Okay? And in this case, it's easy to solve. So, solve for y. Well,
Sure.
I want to see all steps, no magic. I subtract 5 from both sides, and we get x minus 5 equals 3y. So then, 3y over 3 will equal x minus 5 over 3, so that y equals x minus 5 over 3. Okay? Now we verify that it's an inverse. Does f inverse of f of x equal x? Well, replacing f of x, I'm sorry, replacing, well, let's see here. Let's write down what f inverse of x is. So I can point to it, okay? F inverse of f of x is what? Well, here's f inverse of x. We've replaced x by f of x, so we've got to replace x by f of x every time it occurs. Right? Okay? Well, that's easy. And of course, we have a formula for f of x. Okay? F of x is 3x plus 5. Okay? And this equals then 3x plus 5 minus 5 over 3. Well, that equals 3x over 3, and that equals x. Okay? I got to understand function notation. I've seen some shakiness still with function notation. So we've got to overcome that. Again, get these to the mark if you need it. Also, f of f inverse of x has to equal x. Well, that means that f of x minus 5 over 3 Okay, f of f inverse of x is x minus 5 over 3. That should equal x. And f of x is 3x plus 5. So x has been replaced by x minus 5 over 3. So we've got to replace this x by that. So I don't need to write the f. I write 3 times x minus 5 over 3 plus 5 should equal x. Well, 3 divided by 3, which gives us x minus 5 plus 5 equals x. Well, x minus 5 plus 5 is x equals x. Yep. It worked. Okay? So that's all you got to do, but you got to use function notation correctly. And they're going to be simple functions. I'm probably going to give you something like f of x equals your a variable plus b. Okay? And ask you to do the same thing. And then I might give you one or two that's a little more complicated, but not too bad. At least, I might give you one that's complicated enough to make you scratch your head so we can talk about it. And you can impress me if you get it. Okay?